Hello, Algebra 1. Today we are going to be reviewing and you have a quiz tomorrow. So what you want to find is your homework packet, and we are going to be doing a portion of the Unit 10 review together as notes, and then you will have a Canvas quiz that you're going to submit for me. Okay? So again, this is the Unit 10 review in the homework packet, and the PDF is also in Canvas. It wouldn't be helpful if it was in Kansas. And you can also just write down these problems on a piece of paper. Okay. All right, so we're going to come on down to the factor completely section, number 6, and we're going to factor these three problems. So remember, we have two types of options here. We can either have a 1 in front of our x squared or a number, a GCF in front of our x squared. And when there's only a 1, those are the problems that we're going to go straight to our box problem. It's just one step. Multiplies to 27, adds to 12, and that's going to be a 9 and a 3, both positive because we're multiplying to a positive and we're adding to a positive. Okay, now number 7 has a number in front, so what we want to check first is if 3 goes into 21 and to 36, and it does divide into those evenly. So what we'll do is we'll take our 3 out, it's a GCF, and I'm just going to set this up. We always have these two steps when we're factoring with a GCF. So first we divide our 3 out. 3 times 7 is 21, and 3 times 12 is 36. And now we're going to go ahead, we're going to do our box problem with this new trinomial that we have in here. Okay, so we're going to multiply to 12, and we're going to add to -7. And that'll be a -4 and a -3, and you want that 3 right out front. Okay, if you try to do your multiply and add with these numbers, the 36 and the 21, you won't find anything that works. Okay, you have to use the numbers once you've divided out the GCF. Okay. Number 8, 1 in front. All right, that means we're going to go straight to our factored form. This means we're multiplying to -49. And we're adding to a 0 since there isn't any x here. And that will be a +7 and a -7. All right, let's flip the page. Number 12, we're back with a number in front. And if we divide 32 and 36 by 4, they do go in evenly. So 4 is a greatest common factor. So we will have our 2 steps here. So I'm just setting those up. Now I'll go ahead, I'll divide each term by 4. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 9 is 36, or you can do 36 divided by 4. We'll go ahead and do our box problem. Multiplies to -9, adds to -8. So since we're multiplying to a negative, you're going to have one positive and one negative. And your number should be a 9 and 1. Because the 8 is the negative, because it's a -8, our 9 will be negative here and a positive 1. Okay, moving right along. Number 13, just a 1 in front. Okay, that means we can go straight to our factored form. Multiplies to -24, adds to -11. All right, so if we're multiplying to a negative, we just talked about you need a plus and a minus. Here's the thing with this one. 8 and 3 multiply to 24, and they add to 11. But if we want to get a -24, one of these has to be negative, only one of them. But in order to get a -11, both of these have to be negative. So there isn't a way to do this the way the problem is set up. And so what we call this is prime. It means it can't be factored. Okay, now if this 24 were a positive, then we could do x -8, x -3. Okay, but it's not, so this is going to be prime. 14, we have a number in front. And you can use your calculator. 48 is divisible by 3. I don't have my calculator on my screen right now, so I'm just going to let you take my word for it. Okay, so I'm dividing out the 3. 3 times 16 is 48, and then, oops, I'll do my setup here. So now when you do your box problem with this guy, remember it means we're multiplying to negative 16 and we're adding to 0. So that's going to be a +4 and a -4. All right, so again, whenever you have a GCF, a number in front that divides evenly with all your terms, you're automatically going to have 2 steps. Okay, so we're going to do 16 and 20, and then we'll come down and we're just going to do these 4 solving problems. Okay. All right, number 16, number in front. It divides evenly into all 3, so we're going to divide it out. I'm just going to set this guy up. 10x squared divided by 10 is just x squared. 10 times 5 is 50. Don't lose your x. 10 times 4 is 40. Now we're ready to do our box problem. Multiplies to 4, adds to 5. And that is just going to be 4 and 1. Okay. All right, one more like this. 4 does evenly go into 40 and 100. So 4 is a GCF, so we're going to pull that out. I'm going to set this up. It's got the 2 steps since it has a GCF. Now I divide my 4 out from each term. 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 25 is 100. Again, you're welcome to use your calculator. Now we'll do our box problem. Multiplies to 25, adds to 10. And that's going to be a 5 and a 5. So think about the other way you could write this. It would be 4 times the quantity of x plus 5 squared. All right, so that's factoring. There were no equal signs for any of those. So now these last 4, we are going to factor if necessary and then solve using zero product property. Now, if you notice, number 21 is already in factored form. It already has your parentheses. So what a lot of people do is they want to FOIL this. Do not FOIL. FOIL is for multiplying. This specifically says solve. Solve means you are setting each part equal to 0. Okay, and this one's really easy. It's just x equals 6. This one you're going to need to show the work for. Subtract your 1 over, and then divide by 2, and you can just leave your answer as -1/2. Okay, so again, these solutions are representing your x-intercepts of your parabola. All right, let's try 3 more. Before we worry about what type of factoring we're dealing with, when we're going to solve, you must have an equals 0. So what you should notice first here is that you have an equals 24, which is a problem. So we will go ahead, we will subtract that 24 over. And because it is just a number, it's our C value, it's going to go at the end. And make sure you have it as a negative. Okay, then we have our equals 0. All right, so now you can worry about your x squared. You just have a 1 in front, so that means we can go straight to our box problem. All right, just one step. Multiplies to -24, adds to -5. And that's going to be an 8 and a 3, but the 8 should be the -1. Okay, but remember, we're not done yet. It still says equals 0, so now we go ahead and we do the solving step. Zero product property is what we use to solve, and that's where we set each of our factors here equal to 0. And when we solve, we should get an x equals 8 and an x equals -3, which again, just a reminder, you should notice your solutions are the opposite of what your factors were. All right, 2 more. Number 23, first thing I notice is that I have an equal 0. That's good. That means that I'm ready to factor. Next thing I want you to notice is that you have a number in front. Okay, so that 3, we will go ahead and we will check to see if 3 goes into 27, and it does. And again, just in case you were curious, like if you had this, 3 doesn't go into 25. Okay, so this wouldn't be a problem that you could factor. Okay, this problem would be considered prime. Okay, and you'll do more of those when you're a junior. Okay, we're focused on ones that are GCFs. So GCF means you're going to have 2 steps. First step, pull out the 3. Second step, do your box problem. Make sure you have your equal zeros as well. Okay, so when we divide by 3, we'll get x squared minus 3 times 9 is 27. And now we can do our box problem. Multiplies to -9 and adds to 0. And we're adding to 0 not because of this equals 0, but because you have a plus 0x in there. All right, and those numbers are 3 and -3. Okay, and then finally solve. Set each part equal to 0. X minus 3 equals 0. So again, you'll see that your solutions are opposites. All right, very last one. And then you have your Canvas quiz. I have an equal 0. Great. That's the first thing I need to check. I have a number in front. Okay. 4 does go into 32 and 80 evenly. All right. That means I have a GCF. And I'm going to have 2 steps here. 2 steps for the factoring, and then we'll have to solve it. Make sure you have your equal zeros. Okay, so let's divide the 4 out. X squared plus 32 divided by 4 is 8. 80 divided by 4 is 20. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and do our box problem. We are multiplying to -20, and we are adding to 8. And those numbers are 10 and 2. Which one's going to be negative? The 2, because 10 minus 2 is 8. Oops, x plus 10, x minus 2. And then finally, we will solve. Again, this is called zero product property. And to do that, we are just setting each part equal to 0. Okay, so x is going to be, oops, let me show my work, -10 and +2. Okay, and again, these are representing the x-intercepts or the zeros of your parabola. Okay, so those are your review notes for today. Go ahead and do your Canvas quiz and submit it. And remember, tomorrow you have your real quiz. Okay, so check on back tomorrow for your QQR and your quiz. See you later.